No role plays, no conference calls, no BS. Chris and Lorenzo share 4 decades of combined experience to help you become a more effective leader. This is Hacking Your Leadership.
Welcome to Hacking Your Leadership. I'm Chris.
And I'm Lorenzo.
And welcome to this week's Thoughtful Thursday. Don't forget to follow us on YouTube at Hacking Your Leadership and leave us a review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to right now. On this Thoughtful Thursday, I want to talk about purpose. Purpose matters a lot when it comes to people's work. It's one of the things that leads to people enjoying their work most is having a sense of purpose within their work. But I saw an article recently that kind of put it in a different perspective, and I liked the way that it talked about it because for a lot of people, I think that they search for purpose by searching for the right job. They job hop, where they try to find a job that kind of speaks to them from a sense of purpose because they're looking at these massive problems that they're trying to be a part of fixing, whether it be on a global scale or maybe a local scale, but something huge. And this article kind of talks about the fact that you can find tremendous purpose that leads to tremendous job satisfaction and happiness in whatever job you have, as long as you are looking for the right things. What do you think about this?
Yeah, I think it's a great conversation because I think what normally when people hear purpose, they think of like vision and purpose, like these really big things and this idea of changing the world and all this type of stuff. And I think that as leaders, and we talk a lot about this on the show, just like the purpose of leadership. What is your purpose? How do you define leadership? What does it mean to you? How does it bring you joy? How does it fill your bucket? Like all of this is kind of tucked underneath this kind of thought around a purpose of what does it mean to you and what's going on in the job that you do that does kind of bring you an element of satisfaction that does bring you elements and pieces of joy from time to time, like whatever that might look like. But I think that it's a conversation that we should continue to have because similar to what you're saying, I think if you're jumping around for a company or for a larger organizational vision or a specific product that a company might be making for some reason or some type of service that they offer, like if that's the purpose you're searching for, that's not your own purpose. That's a purpose of a larger organization. And that's a good thing. But I think that if you really want to sustain joy and happiness over life, you really need to dig into what it is that drives your own sense of purpose.
Right. We've seen the vernacular change over time with certain things. So think about the fact that you don't hear the word garbage man anymore. You hear sanitation engineer, or you don't hear the term bartender. You hear mixologist, right? It's this idea that no, I there's a certain connotation that comes from a certain word, and I don't believe that what I actually do fits with the connotation people think of when they hear this word. So I need to change the vernacular because over time, the role has actually changed. What I do has actually changed. I think a person who is bought into that kind of belief is a person who is looking for and has potentially found purpose in whatever that role is, and they're trying to make sure that the world sees that purpose the same way that they've seen it. This is how, kind of where the rubber meets the road with the little actions that create big actions. I'm reminded of that whole the fable of the boy walking along the beach, throwing crabs back into the water because there's millions of them on the sand and they're all dying, and the guy walks by him and says, "Oh, you're never gonna make a difference with that. There's a million here. You're throwing one at a time." And the boy says, "Well, I made a difference to that one." And he as he throws the one back into the water, and that one lives. And the people who have the ability to kind of see that, to kind of see the impact that they have the ability to make, even if they aren't able to effectively solve a problem in its entirety, those are the people who find purpose in their work. And the vast majority of people, I mean like 99% of people, have to be able to find purpose in those things, because 99+% of people on earth aren't working towards something that is a huge, massive, problem or goal they're trying to solve. They have to be able to focus on the little things.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great call out, and I think in the realm of like title changes, I think we should change it from Hacking Your Leadership Podcast to Hacking Your Leadership Audio Mentoring Experience.
I like it.
Doesn't that sound good? Right?
Yeah,
More
perfect.
purpose now. More purpose.
More purpose, yes. Yeah, I love that. The Hacking Your Leadership Audio Mentoring Experience. What I want to ask you, Lorenzo, is how do you find purpose in the work that you do every day? You lead large teams of people, and you've been doing that same work for a lot of years. There has to be a way that you find purpose in doing that besides just the kind of the day-to-day minutia. How do you not get kind of lost in the monotony or the things that would kind of bog down somebody or make them kind of feel like I've done this long enough, I need to stop doing this. What do you do to kind of find purpose in that work and the day-to-day stuff? So I want to ask you that, but first I want to give it a word for one of our sponsors. All right, Lorenzo, what do you do to make sure that when you think back on the work that you do, at least monthly or weekly, if not daily, that you find some sense of purpose in the work that you're doing?
I think it's over time. There's been definitely like things that I enjoy about leadership, and like for a long time, it was just like the connection with people. I kind of have an outgoing type of personality. I love to connect with people. I love to get to know people. I like a challenge. I like being on a team. I like solving for different things. So like there's a lot of things that I think within specifically retail leadership that I just enjoy a lot of. But what I've really kind of in self-reflection really over probably the last decade and a half is just this understanding of my purpose really lies within, I think, helping people exceed their own expectations. I think that in a place in retail leadership, you get people in all walks of life. You get brand new careers. You get, this is my third or fourth career. This is my last career. You get people that are striving for more. You get people that are finding who they are and kind of committing to themselves and like the things that they want to accomplish. And for me, that purpose is creating a fun environment, creating a place where I can be myself and role model for others how they can be themselves, and then really provide experiences and learning and development that helps people to believe and build confidence that they really can accomplish whatever the things are they want to accomplish in life in general. So like for me, that's my greater purpose, whether that's people that I work with or people that listen to the show that like I talk to people that I've never worked with ever, but because of the show, because of relationships, because of networks, because of meeting people out in different places, I stay in contact with them, and anything that I can do to help them, whether it's mentor, answer questions, provide perspective, volunteer my time, I do as much as I can to just help people go out there and achieve whatever they want to achieve and really exceed that for themselves. That for me is my greater purpose. That's how I see the work.
I love that answer. I think one of the most kind of transformational things that I had to go through in my life, and I think a lot of people, if people can figure this out sooner rather than later, it leads to a work life that is more purposeful and that it has more happiness involved, is this idea that purpose and working towards something bigger and the happiness that you get from that isn't something that is in a constant state forever. It goes up and it goes down, and some days you have more of that than others. Other days you might be, kind of lost in the minutia, doing things that you don't necessarily love doing, and that it's not about trying to find a job that where you have that kind of like greater sense of purpose that you can sustain for every single hour of work, every day, every week, every month, forever. It's about do you find enough of that to keep you going, because there's no such thing as a job where that is the case for all 40 hours, 2,000 hours a year for years and years and years. You have to be able to kind of take the bad with the good and know that just because you might be in a rough patch, so to speak, it doesn't mean you're in the wrong place. It doesn't mean that you're in the wrong career. It doesn't mean you made a bad vocational decision sometime, in the past. It means that you need to maybe look at this as a wake-up call to think, okay, what was it that I was doing even just recently that made me feel more purposeful and more happy, and how do I get back into doing that? Like come back around to it as much as you can, as opposed to just thinking, okay, this needs to be like honeymoon phase forever, and the moment it's not, it means, oh, I must be in the wrong career or the wrong industry or the wrong company. I think the people who figure that out sooner are the ones that are more likely to kind of stick it out through the bad times, but also have a sense of that, you know what, if the bad time lasts for too long, maybe I am in the wrong spot. And so it's a little bit of an art more so than a science. But those who can kind of figure that out earlier, I think they lead happier lives and happier work lives.
Yeah, I would agree, and I would even add this. I think earlier is helpful. I think being very clear and honest with yourself about what it actually is, I think is really more, because I hear it all the time. Like, you can talk to leaders and they'll say like, "Well, why do you do this work?" "I love people." I'm like, "Okay, but do you really?"
Maybe they're not lying. But that's not enough.
That's
maybe
what I'm saying, right?
Maybe
Like,
you're right,
like,
but I don't
like-
necessarily believe you. Tell me more.
Exactly. But I think that's a part of the issue sometimes, is that you have leaders that say the things that they think want to be heard. They say the things that they've heard about leadership, but they're not actually driven. Like, that's not the purpose for them. Like, they're uncomfortable saying, "I can do this job really well and I make a really good living at it. And I know if I work hard, I'll continue to get promoted and make more money." And that sounds bad, but like, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just how do you treat people? Because
Right.
you can still treat people well, but you might not be that lifelong legacy leader. There are people that we've worked for in our lives that you're just like, yeah, they were a good leader. I might bring up a name from the past and you're like, man, you know what? I did work for that person. Like, they were cool. Right. But then there's the leaders that are like the other sides of the spectrums. I will never work for that person again. Right. And they changed my life in a negative way. Or, oh my gosh, this leader, this mentor in my life meant the world to me, and I emulate what they did and I learned so much. But like, there's a lot of those in the middle, just good leaders. And that's perfectly fine. But I just share that because I think you have to be really clear and honest about your purpose.
Yeah, there's this idea that the nobility of doing something larger, and if you can't find that, then you must be in the wrong spot. But no, think about what you do every day that helps other people. Remember, things you do that are in service of others are the things that make us happiest. And so if you can find purpose in that, and if what you do every day allows you to find purpose in that, I think that you're well on your way to making sure that the work that you do is purposeful work.
Absolutely. And with that, it brings us to the end of this episode. This is Hack Your Leadership. I'm Lorenzo.
And I'm Chris.
And have a great day.